Welcome to the show that looks at truth, fiction, and reality with a smirk. I'm Aaron Peterson.
I'm Amanda Sink.
And I'm Zack Parkerson.
And welcome to Smirk. And this time we're going to let Zack take over. Is it a happy story? Is it joyful? Are we going to smile at the end of it?
No, I can probably go ahead and just let the listeners know the odds of me telling a happy story are slim.
Sweet. That's
so
sweet.
Just know when it's Zack's week, don't look for a pick-me-up that week.
If you're having a bad week, don't listen to Zack's episode. Save it for later.
Or listen to it so that you're like, yeah, that's right, he gets it.
All right.
That too.
All right, both of you, gather around the campfire as always. Time for a story. James works in a factory, and so naturally hates his job. But there is an upside. Despite his rather reserved nature, James has managed to make a really good friend in his boss, Will. Even though Will has a bit of an abrasive and boisterous personality, James finds himself able to bond with him. They have a mutual love of film and games and other geeky things. They could debate for hours over the best Star Wars film, or whether Ridley Scott has completely lost all of his talent, whether Nintendo is for kids or video games are too expensive these days. Their coworkers often joke about the two being boyfriends even. It's a little rare for Will to be so close to one of his employees. Most people keep their distance because Will is an ex-con. This didn't stop the factory owner from giving Will a chance, but it makes it hard for his coworkers to be close to him. No one really knows what Will did to land in the clink, but the simple fact he's been there is enough for most people. Not James, though. To him, a person's past is nothing more than their prologue. Will was in prison almost 20 years ago, and whatever stupid thing he did to land there has long been history. Will tells his story as such. He did something dumb, landed himself 8 years in prison. He got out in only 3 on good behavior. Knowing his life was now forever tarnished by this, he did all he could. He got himself educated, put himself through apprenticeships, and eventually worked his way up to being in charge. He feels remorseful for what he did, and he has no choice but to keep moving on with his life. James finds the story inspiring and counts himself lucky to have such a friend. Now, one day at work, James is told by a newer coworker what Will's crime was, completely out of the blue. James refuses to believe it and looks into it himself. A quick Google search brings up not only Will's record, but several articles relating to the crime from back when the arrest occurred. James is horrified. The deed was far worse than he imagined. It's the most heinous crime he could possibly conceive of. Ever since, James has been blowing Will off, with Will utterly confused as to why. When they are forced in interacting, James still feels that old spark of friendship as before, but he just can't forget those articles he read. In fact, James begins looking for a new job just to escape being around Will. He can't be around a person who would commit such a crime any longer. All right, well, so what do you guys think the moral of that story is?
Wow. Amanda, I'm still thinking.
I have a couple of different thoughts, but I feel like part of it could be maybe that you never really know somebody till you know somebody sort of thing. On the other hand, it could be about, well, you really like crime, I feel like.
I like crime? Don't tell anyone.
I don't know.
My guess, honestly, would be don't judge a book by its cover, but you better read the pages.
Wow. Never heard that second part before.
Like
it's very
that?
Profound.
Thank you. I just made it up.
Well done. Well done.
The moral is the limits of a second chance.
There is a moment where you can go, you know what? He's not getting a second chance. He doesn't deserve one.
If that's how you feel, Aaron.
That's how I feel. You feel. That's what I got from you, man. From your story.
The story is just a jumping off point, Aaron. You should know this. Come on, Smirk.
That's true. That's true.
What's the crime?
Well, the first question, Amanda. I'm curious. What do you guys think Will's crime is?
Was he a priest?
Wow. Yes, he was featured in the movie Spotlight.
Well, at least now I know what his crime is. To me, it would have to be something like mass genocide or...
Mass genocide?
Rape.
He's got 8 years for mass genocide. Sweet.
Murder. I mean, something like that. Something involving children, probably.
Oh, interesting.
You went from mass genocide to children. You can't cover every base when you're guessing here.
So I think he committed a crime. So definitely a crime.
I'm going to name every crime I can think of.
I did not. I didn't name any burglary or bank robbery or anything like that.
You ain't getting 8 years for And nobody's going to disown somebody.
Oh, I
for
forgot about
burglary.
the time limit that he was in there for. I don't know. They're kind of lax with their consequences in the justice system, it seems, anymore.
Depends on the crime, really.
Do you have any other crimes you want to name just to run through them
No,
all?
I named the few that I thought it could be. I think it probably has to deal with children. Well, Zack doesn't. Yeah, I'm going to go with children. Something to do with children, like rape or murder or
Kid diddling.
Zack?
Yep, I'm saying kid diddle.
Kid diddle.
Mm-hmm.
kid diddle.
So this is gonna be fun because I know what Will did, but no one else will.
So in your mind, you know what Will did, but you're not going to say what Will did.
I intentionally wrote the story without telling you what Will did because I was curious. I'm just curious what people imagined in their head as what the worst crime could possibly be.
Okay, so you're never going to tell us what Will did, so we're just going to have to assume horrible things in our minds? Is that what you're telling me?
It's like the end of a good TV show. You get some of the answers, but you don't get all the answers.
No,
We
Law and
barely
Order,
got
I
the
get all the
answers.
answers.
Yeah.
Every
No,
one
that's
of them.
not long. I said good TV show, though.
Criminal
Oh.
Minds.
Yeah.
We get the answers.
Just wait and TikTok. Wait for a good show to come up.
Psych. They give us the answers.
Do you?
Yeah. You find out who did it. Who done it, you
Oh.
find out.
And you smile at the end.
You know that, right? How do you guys feel about second chances personally?
That's a great question, man. Legitimately
Thank you.
a great question.
It all depends on what they did, I guess. For me personally, to forgive someone, but I don't believe that there's no hope for somebody after they've committed a crime.
Any crime?
Except for Kylo Ren.
Except for Kylo Ren. Is that what you said?
Yes.
I feel like there are ways for people to not necessarily make amends, but to alter who they were in their past to create a better them for the future. If they can recognize their wrongs and if they are exemplary humans that try to find ways to make amends, even if nobody will ever see it as such. If they're consistently trying and putting in that effort to prove that they're no longer that person. I may be too trusting and forgiving and naive in that, but I genuinely believe that humans have that ability to, they were not born evil. We're not born evil. So if we can alter into something that's evil, I believe we can alter back into something good.
Wow, that's very optimistic.
Probably too optimistic, and not everybody reaches that. Not everybody has motivation or desire or even the effort put in to try to become a better person again. It takes a long time for you to get out of your old bad habits and not necessarily erase your past, but to learn and change and grow from it. It takes somebody who's very devoted to doing that. And not every criminal can do that, but I believe that they deserve at least a second chance to try.
That's very
Yeah.
positive and optimistic, and I don't share it at all.
Yeah.
I would love, man, it's hard because I firmly believe a lot of crimes are committed because of damaged psyche, because of psychological issues, mental illness, and those things can be treated. They can be addressed. They can be corrected in many cases. On the same token, there are, in all honesty, Zach, and I'm sure this is probably what your story alludes to, there are certain crimes that I don't think personally I can get over. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't think that person can turn their life around. I just mean I don't think I'm willing to let those things go. I'm not willing to forgive certain kinds of
So like
crimes.
everything I just said? Because I said me, not personally.
No, I mean, I don't think every crime you can come back from. I don't think every person can rehabilitate. I think some people are inherently evil. I really believe that. Now, it could be because of psychological trauma, or it could be because they were just born that way. You know, there are different instances for everything. But people like Jeffrey Dahmer, there's no redemption policy for him that would be acceptable to me. For people like Ted Bundy, there's no redemption policy for people like him. For priests that diddled all those kids and in Spotlight, there's no redemption policy that would be feasible for me, that I believe would make them, you know what, you're good. There are people that I say, lock them away for life. I don't care. I never want to see them on the streets again because of what they've done is that inherently evil to me.
So, Zach, let me ask you something real quick. In terms of the question you're asking us, are you asking what exactly are you referring to as a second chance in terms of clarity?
Whatever you see, like, yeah, it could either be to you personally, people in your lives, or it could just be like on a larger societal level. It's kind of a broader question.
But I mean, do you mean second chances in a chance to go back out into the world, or
That's what
just
I'm saying. Yeah, it could either be so second chances, you know, for Will is twofold, right? Because he's got the societal second chance of, coming out of prison, but he trying to do something with his life and coming back. Then also on a personal level, when people find out about what he's done before, does he deserve to come back from that and have friends and relationships and things? So it's just kind of a broader thought.
Yeah, I think I stick with mine. I couldn't personally, if it was a very heinous crime, I wouldn't be able to personally probably get over it and see past it. I wouldn't be, well, I sure as hell wouldn't be rude to them because I don't want them to come and kill me. But
it's kind of like that works like you think.
Yeah, but I also...
Thanks for the candy. Remember that Dane Cook joke years ago?
Good.
But I also believe that it's very self-defeating for us as a society to tell people if you ever do something terrible or, as a robbery, if you make a mistake or something like that, you're never going to be able to come back from it. Your life is over. You're just going to sit there miserable. We're wasting money on people that you're never going to allow to do anything again. Why not try to put them into society in a good way?
Or just convict them all in Texas.
But I mean, you can still, I feel like there's more possibility for redemption if you not necessarily tell them that they're, everything's going to be fine in the future, but if they show the will and the personal motivation to strive to be better and consistently prove that, they might not be forgiven for what they've done, but they still deserve to have their life in existence. I mean, I just don't feel that any one human is able to make the decision of somebody else's life value. And if you decide if somebody else's life is valuable or not, you're doing the exact same thing that they did when they determined that somebody else's life wasn't valuable enough.
Whoa. Listen here, hippie.
In terms, if we're talking about the death penalty, you're making a decision to end somebody else's life because they ended somebody else's
Not
life.
necessarily the death penalty, but there are some people that are a danger to society.
And I agree with that.
And
that's
they
why
are
I'm not
never
saying,
going to get any better.
That's why I'm not saying everybody should be released and just, let's hope for the best. It's if they can prove themselves that they're going to be a different human being, that they're going to, and not keep them on a leash and somehow you have to still be able to monitor them and their progress.
And a literal leash I'd be cool with.
Keep them in therapy and try to help them with that, because I do believe that psychology therapy sessions can do a lot of benefit to helping people with that. But they shouldn't be condemned to, I don't want to say they shouldn't be condemned to a life of hell, because they really should. But in my personal opinion, but
in my professional opinion.
Okay, Elvis.
Also, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I don't know. I guess I have a really hard time discerning how I entirely feel unless I know specifically what they did. It really depends on the crime. You really believe
case by case and person by person?
Yes, case by case and definitely person by person.
I agree wholeheartedly with that. It's just there are some crimes that I would not see a redemptive path for.
Hitler, I wouldn't say he's going to be able to be redeemed at any point. And there are theories that he's basically escaped to Africa or something, but.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they faked the moon landing too.
Kubrick.
We won't get into this theory, but I mean.
Kubrick did it.
But I mean, if somebody like that were still alive and still in our society or something, I wouldn't be like, wow, you're forgiven. You're an all right guy. You haven't done anything heinous for a while. Yeah, no. But I don't know. It really just depends on the crime and the person and what they've done to try to better themselves and what they've done for society. If you can prove to me that you're doing something to create good in the world after what you've done, maybe you've learned your lesson.
Maybe you can keep doing it behind bars where you're safe and away from my family.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a tough decision. Anyway.
It's not tough for me at all. There are 3 different things where I could say, don't care who they are or what they went through. I just don't care. A repeat child abuser. I'm going to say abuser because I don't want to get into the graphic nature of that. But you know what I'm saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sexually abusing a child, no coming back. Brutally murdering someone. I'm not saying, there are instances where rage take over and things like that. But someone who methodically murders someone or plots to murder someone, I don't really care about your personal growth. And, the other one is sexual assault. Those are the 3 things where I think those kinds of crimes are inherently evil to me. And maybe psychology can help amend them. Maybe they can help them grow and find out where they went wrong. But I don't know if I need them back on the street. And I personally don't need to give them a second chance. I don't have to. And I don't want to. I have no desire to. As far as I'm concerned, bye. Bye, Felicia.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to those situations, for me, that's where it's most tough, is when it's mass murder, rape, assault, those sorts of things, sexual assault, and then anything to do with children.
Yeah, you mess with kids, man. You just can't always fix it. I don't really want to spend the money to try. Boom. Yeah, I said it.
All right, Zach, what about you?
Wow, some harsh opinions coming out. I look at it very personally, very selfishly in terms of second chances, because you can pretty much do whatever brought you to where our paths cross. I really don't care about your past. But if you've done anything to wrong of me, I'm a very vindictive son of a bitch in that regard. I really don't let it go. I famously burn every bridge as I walk across it if I have been wronged. So in terms of me personally, the second chance is non-existent. In terms of societally, I'm a big believer in prison reform and getting a second chance. I mean, if you go to prison, you should be able to get a job, and you should definitely be able to vote and things like that. But, it definitely gets trickier when kids are involved, Honestly, you could have killed somebody before I met you, and I don't really care why. Because if odds are, if you're back out on the street, then, it wasn't that bad. It isn't you a kid, it's harder to look past. As long as you don't ask, I guess. How would you ever know?
You have a don't ask, don't tell policy.
Honestly, it actually kind of leads into my third question, which is, do you have a right to know about the past of someone close to you?
Wow, that's a deep question, man.
Thank you. Honestly, you could be super close to somebody. You could be like, yeah, I was in prison for a few years. And do you have a right to know what crime that was?
I don't think that you innately have a right to know about anyone's past. But I think if you expect them to stick around and you expect them to continuously be there for you, when you're when you have a good friend, or you are a good friend, you're constantly lending yourself to somebody else and inviting them into your life. If you don't want to tell me what you've done, then you're hiding something from me, for whatever your reasons are, and it makes me uncomfortable because I feel like I can't trust you. If I can't trust you, I don't need you in my circle.
So you think you do have a right?
I don't think that I have a right to know, but I think that if somebody wants to hold that back from me, we don't necessarily need to have a friendship. It's not my place to say you absolutely have to tell me. Like, no matter what, you better tell me what happened.
Well,
and
the question is someone close to you. So aren't you kind of implying that in order to be a close friend, you do have to tell me your past?
I have to trust you. I have to trust you.
And that's part of trust for you.
And that is part of trust for me.
Okay.
Is I need to understand who you are as a human being. If I can't understand what you've done, and I'm already probably too trusting that I'd probably listen to you for too long, even if it was something extremely heinous. But you have to trust me enough to give me that opportunity to talk to me about it. If you think we're close enough friends that you consider me a close friend and you trust me, then you should trust me enough to tell me about that. And whatever happens from there is a decision that, you and I can make on a personal level and make that decision going forward. But I need to have trust in my friends.
It would not be enough for you that if they told you, hey, like 15 years ago, I was in prison. It was 3 years. It's very it's painful to even think about. It was such a stupid thing that I did. That wouldn't be enough for you. You'd have to know what it was.
It's very hard for me to answer this because anytime somebody has a painful past, they pretty openly tell me about it. So
you think they do?
I mean, yeah, I guess there's people that could be hiding things from me. But I mean, when people have a lot of personal history, I tend to be the person people go to with that sort of situation because I have a willingness to listen to what's happened to you or what you've done. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I would find it very hard to trust you if you felt like you needed to constantly hide from me. That's a personal decision that you are more than welcome to make. I just can't continuously invite you into my life.
Well, how would you know?
Well, if they're telling me they have a giant crime they went to prison for, That
Well, I'm saying outside of that, how would you know? Unless they told you.
Honestly, I'd
know.
probably just Google their record and figure it out myself.
Yeah, more people need to do that. If you're making new friends,
Google your friends, everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, I would just look up their record.
It doesn't make you a bad person to know who you're hanging out with.
Aaron, what about you?
I'll cut to the chase. Yes, I have a right to know. Now, if we're just casual friends, no. I mean, I wouldn't. If I was in that situation, I wouldn't share potentially vital information about my personal life with an acquaintance. Mm-hmm. But if we're close friends, we're hanging out, yes, I have a right to know. And if I find out later, if I find out like it was a heinous crime of any kind and you didn't tell me ahead of time, we're done. We're done being friends. I can probably get through some stuff. You have to tell me. Just along the same lines Amanda was saying. It's a trust issue. And if I can't trust you to tell me that up front, I can't trust you to be around my family and friends. So we're done. So yeah, I have a right.
Wow.
What about you? You don't think you have a right?
That was very straight to the point. Hmm? No, I don't think anybody has a right to anybody's past for any reason.
Well, I guess we're not going to hang out if you did jail time, buddy. That's all I'm telling you.
Look up his record.
What I'm saying, yeah. Google Zack Ferguson. I think the first thing will come up is not me. Past is the past. Everyone's always focusing on the past, letting it haunt them, linger. Doesn't matter.
I would disagree with that.
I don't think so. The past informs who you are in the present. But if the person in the present is somebody who's great to hang out with, is someone you can talk to about anything important, then what does it matter what they did in the past? For me, all it would be is it would be more than enough if they're just like, yeah, I did some time. That's all I need to know.
In your story, it's not all that was needed to know.
Yeah, not for James.
But for you, it would be. That's good enough for you. You don't need to know the crime that you did the time.
Yes. Thank you for the rhyme.
It's fine.
I think people get too caught up on things like that.
I agree that people can get caught up on their past, but I also disagree that the past is essentially irrelevant because it is relevant. It shapes who you are as a human being. Right. It is your entire course of your life that has led you to where you are and will continue to push you through where you will go.
But who you are now.
How do you know if somebody?
Why do other people need to know how you got to where you are?
If you don't know someone's past, how can you know if they're any different than who they are in the present? If you can't understand A, how can you understand B? Which would then lead you to C.
You're looking at B.
Okay, I'm going to paint this even easier. Ready? This is going to be simple. So you're getting ready to have intercourse with someone. I love
intercourse.
You want to know their history or any potential history. So you can make an informed decision about the relationship you're about to have. It doesn't necessarily mean that you won't continue the relationship. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have a relationship. It means that you need to be informed of their life, where they stand, so that you can make that informed decision of if you want to continue this relationship or take it to a deeper level. Same thing with friendships or any other kind of relationship. You need to have a deep relationship. I think you need to be informed of potential roadblocks.
Honesty. What
I'm saying is I don't need to know their sexual history.
Whoa.
Hey, are you clean? And that's all you need to know. I don't need to know that you had a three-way with your friend and his buddy.
Well, I'm not saying that you need to know that, but
He's not saying. I don't think you're saying you need to know the details. I'm not saying you need to know details.
You need to know if there's any past medical history or there's anything you need to know before you engage in that relationship, just to make an informed decision. Like I said, it doesn't even mean that there won't be one, but you need to be informed of that so you can make an educated decision as to what you're willing to pursue.
Because otherwise, you're taking away their free will of the situation. You're taking advantage of that. Because
the person who's not telling you about their past?
Well, what if, because, to be perfectly honest, there are a lot of regulations and legalities that will allow someone that committed something like pedophilia to be out in the public on parole in a short period of time. Now, if you have small children, you should know that about that person, and I think you have a right to know that. Now, I guess you could check the sex offender
list. So now
you
don't believe in the justice system. That's what we're getting to.
I definitely don't. No, absolutely not.
Nah, definitely not. No. I think we can all agree on that.
But I don't think you should have to check the sex offender list with everybody you make friends with. I think if someone has done something, I think you have a right to know that, and that's part of it. But I get where everybody's coming from. And Zach's just willing to roll the dice a little bit. That's all.
First of all, yes, I am.
You're a little daring.
I guess so. Everyone needs a little more chaos in their life.
Do they now?
So you guys think this story is truth or fiction? Possibly triction?
I like triction.
It's really not a thing.
It is.
It feels like a cop out. To be
Yeah,
honest
it's a
with
cop
you.
out. You got to
Nah.
Truth or fiction, Amanda?
Truth.
It's too insane to be fiction in my mind. It's got to be true.
So it is fiction.
Oh, really?
You got me. You got me. Copper.
Good one.
Got him.
Do you have some personal inspiration from that story, though, that you created?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of what I figured.
Not enough to where I would call it truth, though.
Okay.
And he's not willing to cop out and call it triction. So what is the title of this tale?
The title of this tale is Pasts.
Concise.
Wow.
Mhm.
That was right to the point. Now
Yeah.
that's pasts, not past, like zoom, or
Plural
I'm skipping
pasts.
right through it.
It's a hard word to say.
Past or pasts?
Pasts.
Paths? Like
Plural.
Pasts.
Pasts?
Pasts.
Okay.
There is more than a single past in the world.
Gotcha. So in your story, do you think that the friend that said, "Oh, you're out of here, we're done," and kicked him to the curb, was he in the wrong then, in your mind?
Well, what's interesting here is that James didn't have the free will to decide whether or not to learn about Will's past because someone just told James what it was. So he kind of got robbed of that choice. But I think James, I guess it depends on his own moral value of what the crime is. But it doesn't seem enough for me to stop being friends with Will if I were James.
That's very noble of you. You're a hero.
And also probably going to get killed.
Yeah, I think you guys would use the word naive, not heroic.
I don't think you're naive. I think it's a very mature way to handle it, and I totally understand where you are coming from. I personally believe personal history informs those things, and that's why I feel the way I feel. That's why you feel the way you feel. That's why Amanda feels the way she feels, and everybody listening feels the way that they feel about it. It's because personal history informs that. You feel certain ways about certain crimes. There are probably people that feel that way about just burglary or carjacking. People have experiences in life that I think inform them exactly how they feel in regard to that question. So I think you ask 20 people, you'll get 20 very different answers.
Yeah, probably.
Have you asked people about this before? Like other individuals?
Have you done a poll?
Sort of.
Yes, I do this at every job I start. I go around.
It's part of your census.
Like, what are your stances on the past? And everyone's like, wait, what have you done? And I go, it doesn't matter. What do you think about the past?
Really good way to start off.
Just make
that.
them
I
wonder.
like it. Yeah.
People like to wonder.
And then they start to gossip about what you may or may not have done.
I think they do that anyway.
Oh, wonderful.
I think everyone assumes I have killed people.
I do.
See?
I mean, I'm just kind of wondering how you hid the body, what you did with it.
I know for a
Did
fact
you eat
you've
it?
killed garden gnomes.
Yeah, they deserved it.
As our show goes, we will occasionally pick listener stories to read and discuss on Smirk. If you'd like the chance to have yours read, email it to mystory@smirkpodcast.com. Join the conversation by joining our Facebook group or follow us on Twitter @SmirkPodcast, and be sure to use the show's hashtag Smirk. Don't miss an episode. Be sure to subscribe to Smirk on your podcast app of choice and check out our website at smirkpodcast.com. That's going to do it for this episode of Smirk, guys. Good one, right?
Yeah. Nice
Yeah,
dark
I think-
story from Zack. What's
Deep.
new?
Yeah, you can always rely on me for something a little darker.
That's great. I'm glad everybody's feeling a little livelier. They feel better about life. Everybody's going to go out, talk to their friends, and be scared to death of every single one of them.
That's right. Don't trust anyone, people. I'm kidding.
Or trust everyone.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they did.
Yeah.
Unless they like hit your cat.
Wait, that's your line?
Really, that's where you draw it. Right there.
Yep, the cat.
You're one of those people.
As long as they haven't done anything to you, what does it matter?
Kill people, whatever you got to do, but leave animals alone. You can't touch the animals.
He's not even saying animals. He's just saying cats. Like, who
Yeah,
cares about the
specific
dogs?
I'm not a big dog guy.
Oh my God.
As you write your own life story, always remember to tell it with a smirk. As you write your own life story, always remember to tell it with a... What?
Your internet cut out. That was hilarious, actually.